What's up, guys? This is Tristan Pope, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Spartan race I just finished. This was my first Spartan race. It is the Beast. It is called the Beast. Let me just give you a little bit of history about me before I get into this. So, a while back, I had moved out to California, and I started working for a video game company. And, you know, you're sitting at a desk for a long time, and I ended up gaining a lot of weight. I weighed about 200 pounds, and it was uncomfortable, and I was very unhappy with myself. And I decided around year 4 that I was going to change that. And I hired a trainer, and I got myself into the best shape of my life in 3 months. I'm going to throw up pictures and videos and stuff throughout this thing because I feel like I don't have enough footage from my GoPro because it died halfway through. And what they don't tell you about this stuff when you're going to race is that your hands are so cold and you have to keep moving that changing the battery, even though I had 4 of them, was nearly impossible. I couldn't get the casing apart. My fingers just couldn't do it. So I ended up ditching the GoPro about, I don't know, an eighth of the way through the race and just focusing on finishing this thing because it took everything, mind, body, soul, to get this done. So the reason I really decided to do this Spartan race, especially on Sunday, is because on Friday I finished a huge project for Amazon, and it was a 2-month directing project in the works, and I needed to decompress my body, my mind, and to me, hiking is like meditation. Strenuous hiking is like meditation to me. It clears my mind. Being out in the mountain, being out in the open, it really is a very cathartic type thing for me. So I was like, you know what? The perfect thing to do once I'm done with this project, which ended on Friday, is to run this race on Sunday. And so that's what I did. So the idea here is that I want to tell you my experience because I feel like this is the stuff that you can't find online. These are the experiences, these are the things that you just can't search over Google. I searched the crap out of the Spartan races. I did so much research before I ran on this thing because to me, I like to be very prepared for this kind of stuff, especially if it's new. And, you know, I'm just getting, you know, I took the winter off from working out and being in shape, and I focused on work and progressing some stuff. And so obviously I gained some weight and I lost some muscle mass, and I decided that, you know, the minute the winter was done, I was going to get right back into it, which is usually the opposite of what I do. Usually in the winter I get super jacked, and then in the summer with all the barbecues and the ice cream and stuff, that's when I'm like, oh, oops. Yeah, this year I decided to do it differently. And so, you know, New Year's came around and I was like, all right, done with the gym, work time, focus on my career, focus on my stuff, and just, you know, enjoy the break. And I really did. I enjoyed the break. And so about a month ago, maybe less actually, I started back up in the gym. My body was, I'm very proud of my body because it is maintaining that muscle memory and allowing me to get back to where I was very quickly. Obviously, I'm on a very strict regimen diet. You know, I work out very hard. My trainer, Teddy, is absolutely amazing. I just have been pushing myself to get back to where I was, but I'm also taking my time and I'm being smart about it. When my friend Mandy asked me if I wanted to do a Spartan race, I was like, well, yeah, I've always wanted to do a Spartan race. That would be awesome. So she's like, okay, I'm going to sign you up. And I was like, yes. You know, and so then I'm talking to my friends and I'm like, oh, guys, I'm doing a Spartan race. And they're like, oh, cool. They're like 5K and there's lots of obstacles and they're a lot of fun. I'm like, yeah, it sounds great. Yeah. So what I didn't know until I looked it up is that she signed me up for the Beast. This is the tri-state one in New Jersey, Mountain Creek Vernon, New Jersey. The Beast. It is 14 miles, give or take. That's Spartan 14 miles, by the way, with 32 obstacles. By the way, when I say Spartan miles, I mean this thing is probably, with all the mud and the slippage and the hills and the obstacles and stuff like that, I can't see this being less than 15 to 17 miles. Easily. I'm also going to throw up a video while I'm talking here that's going to kind of give you an idea of what the race looked like in terms of how we had to go around it. This video was posted on YouTube, and I'm going to credit it as well. This is an awesome little thing that he made. So anyway, Why am I here talking to you? Well, because obviously when you're done with one of these races, you get like super jacked. You get super excited about what you just did, and you kind of want to share that experience. It's been about 2 days since the race. My body's still just, oh my God, it's tired. It hurts. I can't regulate my body temperature still. I'm still freezing. We had some of the worst weather conditions for my first 14-mile run in the first place, my first 14-mile Spartan race in the first place. It was 45 degrees and raining in the spring. This is unheard of. The day before, it was a nice 60 degrees for everybody that ran it, and it was dry. We got the Sunday Beast, and that thing was an entirely different animal compared to Saturday. If you ran Sunday, congratulations. If you finished Sunday, congratulations. If you even DNF'd, which is did not finish, I still give you credit for trying, because that race to me was so hard. We met up with some veterans of the courses and stuff like that, and we tagged along with them. And even they said that this is one of the most difficult races that they have ever run, with the mud and the sliding and the slipping and the rain and the weather. It was a battle. It was a fight. You had to fight to finish. So I'll start from the beginning, I guess. You know, I did what everybody else does. I go online. I looked for clothes. I looked for shoes. I looked to see what I needed. I ended up getting some Asics with some nice treads on them for shoes. I got, compression shirts. At first I only had compression short sleeves and shorts and some compression underwear and some compression socks and compression. And this is the kind of stuff that I don't actually normally own because, I go to the gym, I wear my, raggedy t-shirts, and who cares, because you're not, battling the elements. So I got all that stuff and I thought I was ready. And then I started to look at the temperatures, and it just kept dropping over the week. As the week progressed, it kept saying colder and colder and colder. And so I was asking on the forums, I was like, guys, do I need like a long sleeve shirt? Do I need, compression pants instead of shorts? And I couldn't really get a straight answer because everybody's body is different. Everybody can, weather the cold or weather the different, elements differently. For me, I am very glad that I decided to go with a compression long sleeve shirt with a compression short sleeve over it. I had my Camelback. It held a gallon of water. I had 2 protein bars, 2 gel shots, and some gel blocks as well. And I also had like a peanut butter bar in there just in case I needed it. I ended up using all of it as well. There were people in our group that, gave me some stuff when I ran out, which was so helpful. So race day comes. I'm like super jacked. I'm super ready. I'm really excited. And I'm also super nervous. I'm not sure what's going to happen. And this is the first day where I feel as though I can come to you guys and talk to you coherently. For the last 2 days, I've been exhausted. I had lost my voice. I was beat. It took it out of me. It took it out of me hard. Because you have to think, I took the entire winter off and I just started getting back into the gym. And while, yes, I'm seeing results quickly, I'm still not in the peak shape that I wish I was, especially for a race like this. But the fact that, I was where I was, I figured, you know what? Let's just do it. We got to just do it. There's no time better than now. If I waited until the perfect moment would never come. So we get there, race day.
Here we go. Let's do this. Let's do it.
And it is just dreary. It's raining the whole way up. It's raining everywhere. The ground is just mud everywhere. And I look at the start and it's just an incline. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is going to be intense. This is going to be intense. Oh, the other thing that I brought was a face mask. This was my saving grace. If I didn't have this face mask, my lungs get really cold with cold weather when I'm running. And I'm just so glad because it kept my face warm, and my own breath actually kept me warm when it got really, really cold at the top of the mountain, when it started raining, when the wind picked up. It really was a lifesaver. I did end up wearing gloves. I just got some gym gloves that attached to my wrists so that it would give me some support. I'm neither for or against gloves. Basically, in my opinion, if you want gloves, you wear gloves. If you have soft hands, you want to wear gloves. If you have rugged hands, you don't wear gloves. Simple as that. I work at a computer, I direct, and I'm editing a lot, so my hands are not the roughest. So things like rope climbs and stuff like that, I have trouble gripping sometimes. So it was definitely helpful for me to have gloves, even if they got slippery here and there. So anyway, we get to the race, and it is, yeah, it's something else. It's something I can't even, it's hard to explain. And, you know, the GoPro footage that I'm going to be showing you here is pretty much the beginning of the race and how quickly it escalates. You start this race, and you know they're starting it up with an epic speech, and they're getting you all pumped up, and you're going aru aru and all this stuff, and you're just screaming, "I am a Spartan," and you just feel all awesome, and all these people around you, and it's crazy because you've got this bleak background, just, you know, raining and dark and gray, and then all these colors of all the shoes and shirts and backpacks that people are wearing, and it's just so surreal to see that in front of you. It's just a very contrasty look. It's interesting. It's kind of like the opposite of Saving Private Ryan. You're in Saving Private Ryan, except everybody's wearing Nike. It's the weirdest looking thing ever. But yeah, there are a ton of things I feel like if you Googled or you tried to look up that just don't tell you what a Spartan is, especially a 14-mile beast. I feel like there is no way I could have Googled what to expect here, especially with the weather the way it was and the conditions of the course. It's just, there was no way to prepare for it. And I hope that I can kind of give you guys an insight into what happens here. So yeah, you start the race, and let me tell you, the guy Norm who designs these things, he makes sure that the course is always one step ahead of you. You are never beating the course. The course is always beating you. If you run up the hill without any weights, you can guarantee at that top of the hill that you'll probably get a run down, but just as you're running down, you're like, oh, good, I got a break. You're going to have to run back up, but you're going to have to carry some freaking rocks or something in your hands. The course is just always one step ahead of you. It's insane. To me, I expected more obstacles. I expected to be like, you know, running and hitting an obstacle every couple of minutes. No, it's about, you know, an hour or two of hiking in some of the worst conditions I've ever hiked in before you even see an obstacle. And then once you get to the obstacle, you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can physically do this now that my body is chilled to the bone. I was freezing the whole time. I mean, in the beginning, and you'll see in the footage here, we were doing pretty well, and it was a lot of fun. And you're just pushing yourself constantly. You're just wearing your body out slowly but surely, slowly but surely. And as the weather changes and as it gets colder, you're just like, I don't know what to do here. I don't know what's going through my head. The saving grace for this race was that we met up with a team. Team Bear Dick Punch, by the way. Me and Mandy met up with them. A guy named Brandon, he's got a monkey on his back. He's a hardcore Spartan racer. He's one of the elites. He had actually raced the day before as well. Jeff as well had done it the day before. We met up with a guy named Rayman. He was his first Spartan race as well, so we kind of like bonded on that. It's amazing how you create these bonds with these people that you don't even know when you're racing. It truly is the band of brothers type thing. You are in a situation where you feel like you're at war. You're at war with your body, you're at war with the mountain, you're at war with the elements, and you're sitting there and you're thinking, why am I battling so hard right now for something I paid for? Like, it just, your brain doesn't understand it. And luckily, you know, there's people around you that you can talk to, because you have to get out of your head. You have to snap the hell out of it. Otherwise, you'll just bring yourself down, and it's just, it'll tear you apart. If you get too much stuck up here, oh man, you just have to keep going. And so that's what I did. Was I had this great group of people around me, and they were very, very helpful on all the obstacles. They helped me to overcome some of them and show me, you know, some of the tricks on how to, you know, achieve them and how to finish them. I only failed 2 obstacles, and I'm really proud of that. You know, I did obviously get assistance on a lot of them, but it was more than welcome, especially in the conditions that we had. You know, some of the bars were so wet that you grabbed them and you fell. Like you couldn't hold on to things. I'll tell you one thing I did do. I nailed that spear throw. I mean, I impaled that motherfucker into the freaking wood. So I was super proud of that. I turned around. I was like, does that count? Does that count? And they were like, that counts. I was like, yes. So that was exciting for me. And that was really close to the end where I was just at the end of, you know, my line and I didn't even know if I could toss the damn thing. But anyway, so, you know, you start this race, and when you start to see the mile markers, you realize how difficult this really is, because the mile markers take a long time to see. You're just like, wait, this is only mile 4 and we're how far into this? How long have we been doing this? How many times have we gone up and down the mountain? How many times have I fallen on my ass in the mud? How many times have I waded through waist deep water? It's just, wow. It's incredible. You know, I'd say some of the things that you just can't look up online are that, you know, there are unforeseen obstacles. Like, sure, there's the 32 obstacles in the race, but then there's the mud that we had to deal with. And I'm talking about mud that made your ankles slip left and right, and your knees just start to give way after a while because it's just so much pressure, and you're constantly slipping down these mountains, and you're crawling through what is like Vietnam type, you know, scenario here, and then you're wading through water and your whole body is just soaked, and then the rain is coming. Every drop feels like a needle. I'm not exaggerating this stuff. It is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
What the fuck? Why? Why is that a thing?
I earned the shit out of this, and I'm so proud of it. That's why I'm wearing it for this right now. I'm just so proud of having this. Not because it's a medal, not because it's cool looking or anything like that. It's because I earned it and I finished. That's why, because I actually made it to the end, and that was truly a feat for me. I'd never done one of these, and from what people were telling me, this was one of the hardest ones there ever was, you know, for the Beast. And so the fact that I was able to finish it was just awesome. So, I mean, the amazing thing is that, you know, the things that really get you through it are the encouragement of the people around you. I would highly recommend making friends with people that are, you know, pacing with you, because without that support around you, it's hard. It's really difficult. And it's hard to find people that can pace at the same level as you, because everybody is a different level, and everybody at a certain point in the race is a different level. And then you'll find that as you get further along in the race, you're going to start outpacing people, or you're going to start falling behind people. And then you'll find as the race goes on, you might pass those people again. You start to see people left and right again and again, and you know, they come up from behind you, or you come up from behind them, because certain obstacles and certain things just equalize the shit out of you. And if you fail an obstacle and you have to do the 30 burpees, that equalizes you too, because all of a sudden you're exhausted. And then it's like, oh, by the way, now you have to go climb this mountain. And you're like, what? The hardest parts for me are when the GoPro died. And I'll tell you one thing. I would never bring a GoPro to one of these things ever again. The reason for that is the battery just doesn't last long enough. What I would do is I would take a life-proof case and put it on my iPhone and like maybe hang it around my neck, because I didn't really need to capture that like first-person view of everything. I feel as though what I wanted to capture were just those moments when my brain went, this is freaking difficult, and I wanted to share that with you. And for me, the things that I didn't capture that were freaking difficult were when we were climbing up steep inclines and the entire ground was so muddy, your feet were trying to pull your shoes off, and your body is just frozen. I mean, I think on the second wire crawl, barbed wire crawl, where you're on the ground was so cold and our bodies were so cold, it felt like we were crawling on ice, and every rock, you could feel it in your bones. I mean, I have a picture of my knees after this, and they were just red and ripped up. Knee pads would definitely be something helpful in the future. The shoes I picked, they worked out great. There was only one downside to them because they have fins on the bottom and nothing on the sides. I did have a lot of horizontal motion to it, so it was very painful on my knees after a while. But overall, those shoes were beastly for going up and down the hills and also for running. Now you have to think, you're getting soaked through this whole thing. You're jumping in water. Some of the obstacles that were the day before they were dry were actually full on rivers the next day because of the rain. And so we're wading through obstacles that didn't even exist the day before. And so you're just cold, submerged in water. Your feet are covered in mud. You've got mud all over your body and you're just trying to stay warm. And one of the ways to stay warm is to run, is to push your body harder. The problem is because of the conditions on the course that day, they were so intense and so slippery that you only had maybe a breakaway of 500 yards here or there to sprint. But man, when you found that 500 yards, you just picked up the pace because it would warm your body. It would allow you to get, your core temperature up and allow you to actually feel your fingers again and your extremities. And you really had to be very careful to hydrate because in the cold weather, man, you don't want to drink. You don't feel like you need it, but you just force yourself to drink. I ended up going through 2 gallons of water. And let me tell you, I pissed clear, and that was a feat, and I was very proud of that because usually after a hike like that, you're pissing like chemicals at that point. It's like neon. So I was just happy about that. Yeah, the hardest part definitely of the whole course was the temperature. It was 45 degrees the whole day. It didn't break. And then as you got higher on the mountain, the temperature dropped and the rain picked up. There was one moment where the rain kind of like dropped out for about, 30 minutes. It was the most relieving moment in the entire day. And that was when we had to do the bucket carry with the rocks in it up and down the mountain. And me and the guy Ray that was new, he was new to it too. We paced that together and we actually helped each other, get it done. We gave each other encouragement, and that encouragement really goes a long way. And I'm so thankful to everybody on that team that helped, get us through it. Mandy was with us, and right around mile 12, she had to drop out. And you know what? That's not a bad thing. That's not something that should be held against her at all. It's something that she should be proud of because she knew when her body was about to give out. She literally had to go to the hospital with hypothermia and rhabdo. That's how bad the weather was up there. She got rushed off the mountain and sent to the hospital because she had to get her core temperature to a normal level. She was starting to shut down. So, that just goes to show how hard the conditions were.
The fuck?
Welcome to hell, part 1.
The first one?
But it takes a lot to say, I have to stop. Because when you get that far into the race, when you're pushing that far, you're like, I can't stop. Why? I know I have to finish this. I have to finish this. You feel like it's an obligation. It's insane. It's insane what your brain is doing throughout this whole thing. And then the other things that you're not going to hear about is that you're so cold that, and you're running for so long, you've got to go to the bathroom. You've got to piss. And you know what? The guys around me were like, well, just go. And I was like, what? And I have trouble peeing in front of people in a bathroom. And they were like, just go. And I was like, I can't. And they were like, well, it'll warm you. And I was like, what? And this was like, I know I'm on another level of crazy here, like insane event here. When guys around you are like, it's cool, pee yourself, like that's what we do, and it keeps us warm. And at one point, I got to I was climbing a hill. It was super muddy, it was super intense. I was freezing, and all of a sudden, it was around mile 12 and a half or something like that. My bladder went, you know what, we could pee now, and I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. And I peed. I went off to the side and I pissed myself. I know this sounds crazy, but I pissed myself, and oh my God, it felt amazing. For the maybe 20 minutes it bought me or less, it just warmed my body and I was able to run again. I was able to sprint again. I was able to get my energy back. Plus I emptied my bladder, which was super important, and that was holding me back. And so that helped as well. But that warmth, and I felt like I was in a war scenario, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, there's no one shooting at me. Why am I fighting so hard? But you just get into this like fight or flight mentality, and you're either wired for it or you're not. And I guess, you know, I mean, I've always known that I've been wired for fight or flight, for fight, because of the situations and the crazy stuff that's gone on in my life. And if you know me, you know a lot of those things that have happened. You can feel free to ask me if you want, but I'm not going to put it in the video. But some really intense things have happened in my life where I've had to, you know, fight or flight, and I've ended up fighting. And I'm not a fighter, and fight or flight doesn't mean like throwing punches. Fight or flight means how you handle situations that are intense, and, you know, stepping up to the plate to really, you know, make it happen. The obstacles were great. I enjoyed all the obstacles. They were really hard. They pushed me to my limits. The inverted wall, I was able to do that on my own because the guys that were with us told me some of the techniques, and it really helped. The Atlas carry, we got to pick up this big cement ball, was probably one of the hardest for me because I couldn't get the ball up. Somebody helped me to just get the ball a little bit off the ground so that I could just push it back, and then I could use my whole body because I have very strong legs, but my upper body is not very strong yet. Like I said, I'm like 3 months into a routine. But yeah, so I finished that one, and that was around mile 14. And when you see that mile 14 marker, oh my God, all your tiredness, all your exhaustion throws out the window. You get an adrenaline rush of hell. You get an adrenaline rush out of nowhere, and it's amazing. You just start pushing so hard because you're like, I know I'm almost there. I know I'm almost there. You're like, please be an actual mile instead of a Spartan mile. Please be an actual mile instead of a Spartan mile. And you just push and you push. And then you start hearing the music of the you know, staging area. You start smelling the food from the staging area. And you're like, oh my God, I am almost there. I am almost there. And you just push and you make it. And it's just the most fulfilling feeling to go under that dunk wall, come out of the water like crazy, and then jump over that fire. I actually walked up to the fire and I held my hands out for a little bit because I was so cold, and then I walked back and jumped it. But it was, when I finished it and they handed me the banana and my shirt, protein bar, and a drink, man, that I've never tasted a banana that was so delicious in my life. It didn't take me 2 seconds to eat that thing. I was just like, oh my God, give me the banana. I went through all my protein bars. I went through all my gel shots. I went through all of my shot blocks. I went through some extras, the peanut butter bar. I went through some stuff that some guys gave me as we were going along. And I was still pushing my energy to the max. There, you know, luckily I paced them out so that they were giving me the energy when I needed them. But still, I was burning through it as fast as I was eating it. Yeah, I mean, I just don't. It's so hard to explain what we had to go through on Sunday because Saturday's race was completely different. It was dry. The weather was not that bad. And then Sunday it was raining and it was freezing. And I've never run in the cold like this. I've never done something like this. So trying to regulate my own body temperature, I had to push past a lot of mental blocks, a lot of physical blocks. And I'm just very glad that there were people around me that helped. Jeff was one of them. He was, they call him Dearth. And he was definitely one of the guys that helped me the most. We paced about the same during this race. He had run the one before, so he's a lot stronger than me. But in this one, he was pacing at the same pace as me, which was amazing. So I tried to stay with him, and that helped to push my body and help keep me warm. And just as you feel like you're getting warm, you slip, you fall into the cold mud, and you're freezing again. And you're just like, no, and you just have to shake it off. You just have to shake it off. You can't be defined by that moment. Brandon was the one that turned to me and said, do not let this moment define you. Keep going. And man, that helped. It was amazing. And then, you know, you're running and you're just running and you're walking so much of this course that you're just like, how am I going to finish this? I've been out here for 8 hours. It took me 8 hours and 44 minutes to finish this thing. And I did not expect to be out there that long. I was like, I'll finish it in like 5 to 6 hours. No, not in these conditions. Took me 8 hours and 40 minutes or 44 minutes to truly finish it. And yeah, it was something else. It was something else completely. But it was, did I jump over that fire pit and did I go, oh my God, I have to do this again? Not necessarily. I did jump over that fire pit though, and I felt so relieved and so proud. This was something very, very difficult. I think one of the obstacles I was most proud of was the upside down rope traverse, where you have to pull yourself up the rope. You have your legs up on it, and you have to ring that bell. And I was like 1 foot away from it, and I heard Brandon yelling, "You have 1 foot to go. If you're tired, pull yourself up." He was just giving me some tips, and God, it helped. And I finally made it, and I hit that bell, and I was like, oh my God, I can't even believe I just did that. Like, you can't believe some of the stuff that you're able to do during these races. And, you know, like when you hear 14-mile Spartan Race, you think you're going to be running a lot. You're not in this weather. You were walking so much, and it was hard to even walk. You were slipping left and right, backwards and forwards, falling on your ass. It was crazy. And like I said before, those areas that were mud the day before, but then were rivers because of the rain, were intense. You were like up to water to here, and you're just like, I guess we're doing it. I guess it's happening. You know, I was like, is this a Tough Mudder or is this a Spartan Race? Like, I don't know what I signed up for. It was like a mixture between both. But what it is that they designed this course so that the mountain is your enemy. The mountain is your obstacle. Sure, there's 32 obstacles in there as well, but the mountain is the hardest obstacle of them all. And with the weather conditions, it becomes even harder. And I swear, if you asked me at the end of that race what I saw the entire race, I could tell you this: my feet and the mud, because I was just focusing on my feet and where I was going to step next so I wouldn't roll an ankle and I wouldn't fall. And that's all I saw. I hardly saw where I was at all. The hardest moments were when you were cut off in the woods, walking for 2 miles at 1 to 2 miles at a time for an hour or two, and you just didn't know where you were, and you didn't know where you would see people again. You didn't know where the end was, and you were like, well, I have to push, because if I stop now, there's really no one to help me. So I'm going. And yeah, you push through it. You know, it kept reminding me of war scenarios, and I was just like, wow, imagine being a soldier trying to do this with like gear on your back and people shooting at you, and you know, I can't even imagine it. So just doing it, you know, with the right clothing, with the compression stuff, and you know, face masks, and having water and all the food that you need, you know, unlike a soldier who might not have what he needs, I was like, you know what, I have to do this. I have to finish. I have to push. So it was a great inspiration to get it done. You definitely feel very, I don't know, accomplished. You feel proud of yourself, and you feel proud of the people around you too. You're cheering them on. You want them to finish as well. You don't want to just finish for yourself. You want to finish for everybody on that mountain, and you want everybody on that mountain to finish with you, because you realize what you are all going through together, and it's hard, and it's just something that you want to see everyone succeed at. One of the things I learned to do was, in order to keep myself warm, was because I had 2 compression shirts on, it was keeping my sweat in at certain points, and I would pull my shirt down, and the warm sweat would warm me for a second or two, and that was a lifesaver. Near the end, I was walking with my hands in my pockets, which is very difficult on that mountain because it was so slippery, but I needed to keep my fingers warm because they were starting to go numb, and I was just walking and just trying to climb the mountain with no arms. And, you know, that was difficult as well, but it was what needed to be done. But I'll tell you, man, that face mask truly saved my life. Like, cause I could wrap it around the back of my head, kept this warm, kept my neck warm, kept my face warm. My breath keeping my face warm was just amazing. Yeah. It's so hard to explain what I just went through, especially, you know, like a couple days later. You know, when I got home after it was all done, I walked around my house not really knowing what to do for a while. You know, obviously I ate a huge meal, but even then I wasn't even that hungry. I was just more like confused. I didn't know what just happened. I was like, did I just fight a battle? And I guess I did. I fought a battle against myself. I fought it against my brain. I fought it against my body. I fought it against the mountain. You know, I fought alongside all these new people. I met so many new people and made so many new friendships like this, just like that. And I got home and I was just walking around in circles. I didn't know what to do. I was tired. I wanted to sleep. I was freezing, but I didn't know whether to lay down or to cry or to just jump for joy. When I eventually did shower 80 times and jump into bed, that felt so strange to me. I was like, this is so surreal. How am I in bed right now after what I just did? Because when you're walking, you're just going to you're just saying to yourself over and over again, one more step, one more step, one more step. That's as far as you can think. Just keep going, one step, one step, one step, and eventually they'll turn into 14 miles. And eventually it did. And so when you're laying down in your bed and you're no longer like on the verge of hypothermia, trying to battle it, and you're under warm covers and you're just enjoying what's, in front of you, and you're enjoying the fact that your house is heated and you just took a shower, you're confused. You don't know exactly what just happened. And I was just laying there and I was just like, I don't get it. Wow. And I just, I fell asleep and woke up the next day and I was like, ow, everything hurt. But I did go to the gym. I stretched out my muscles and I helped, I went into the sauna. That helped a lot. But for the last 3 days, my body temperature has been very difficult to regulate. I've been cold nonstop. And obviously now we have this spring weather all of a sudden, which is just this crazy cold. And, yeah, it's been a challenge. The whole thing has been a challenge. There were 2 extra obstacles that they didn't tell you about. There was the bear obstacle. I don't have any footage of it because obviously, like I told you, the GoPro, I couldn't get it open. There was a bear in the middle of a hill we had to climb. And there was just a pile of us. And so eventually we just started making a lot of noise and moving as a pack. And the bear finally moved. But that held us up for 15 minutes. And unfortunately, when you're standing there cold for 15 minutes in the middle of a field that's open, the rain's hitting you, it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. So you have to then warm up even more afterwards. So that was the one extra obstacle. And then the other extra obstacle was the mud. This mud was unlike anything I've ever seen before. I can't even explain it. It was black. It was yellow. It didn't even matter. It was just so slippery. There was nothing to grip onto on the ground. Luckily, the shoes were great. They worked really well. But like I said, that left and right motion, man, my knees, woo. And the amount of times where you're just walking flat ground and you're just like, boom, and you're just on your ass. Can't even tell you. Can't even tell you. But yeah, everybody was super supportive. I could not have done this without everybody around me. I thank you guys and girls so much for all you did. You form these bonds on that mountain that can't be explained. It truly is the band of brothers type of thing. And it's wonderful. After you get off the mountain, you may not be friends again. You may hate each other, but on that mountain, you are friends. Everybody is friends, and it's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling to have that around you, to have that support, and to also be supportive to others. If you have an extra protein bar or something like that, and you don't need it, and somebody else does, you give it to them, and nobody thinks twice about it because we're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to beat the beast, and that's what we did. We beat the beast. So for my first Spartan race last Sunday, I completed the Spartan Beast. And I have my piece for the trifecta. Maybe or maybe not I will be going for it. I'm not sure yet. I know that I want to, but I also know that I don't want to at the same time. It was really intense, but I think I'm definitely going to go for it. And you know what? Like I said, this is my journey back into getting in shape, feeling good physically again. And so the fact that I was able to do this just after 3 weeks of being back into training was truly an accomplishment for me. And, in some of the photos that got taken of me, I was like, oh man, look at me. This is terrible. And you have runner's bloat and all that. And I was like, oh God, And you just have to remind yourself you're putting the work in. You finish this thing. You're working out every day. You know, just know that you're getting up, you're eating right, you're doing it right. Don't worry about the numbers. Don't worry about the pictures. Just know that you will get results. You're going to get your results, Tristan. For me, that's how I have to do it. And so, you know, I feel very proud today, yesterday, the day before, right after I finished that Spartan. Yeah, that's pretty much the experience. Oh, one thing that was very interesting to me was when I got home and I showered, I had finally warmed up. And what you don't realize when you're on that mountain and you are literally so freezing that you can't feel your extremities is that you might have kicked a rock, or you might have cut yourself, or you might have hurt yourself, and you don't feel it. You don't know. And once the blood starts to circulate back into your body, you're like, oh my God, here's all my bruises. Here's all my cuts. Here's all the intensities. And yeah, it masked a lot of the pain. I have some bruises in places that I didn't even know I could get bruises. So, wow. Some of the obstacles were absolutely impossible this year. I mean, we got them done, but it took a feat of epic proportions to get them done, because, you know, you had like sled poles and stuff with sandbags, and because of all the rain and the mud, you had to pull them on the mud, except it would make like these crevices and stuff that you couldn't get them past. And then it would fill the buckets with water, and so you were pulling even more weight. And so some of these obstacles were just so incredibly difficult. And you know, like one of them, it's supposed to be a flat ground that you pull this like pounded this weight across it in this sled, and the straight thing looked like this because of all the water that had gone and eroded it. And so you're pulling it up and down and up and down. It's getting stuck in the mud, and it's just making, you know, cavernous things that you have to pull it over. It changed the entire course. The rain and the weather changed the entire course. I can't stress this enough. Anyone who did the Sunday Beast is a freaking champion. So congratulations to you. Yeah, I mean, so that pretty much sums it up. Hopefully you'll enjoy the pictures and the videos and stuff that I've included in here. I just wanted to tell you guys my story of what it was to be on that mountain and how difficult it was, and, you know, just the feelings of, you know, utter dismay and just feeling like you're completely worn down and broken, and not even knowing that, you know, you can finish this, and thinking, you know, I can't finish this. And then being able to push and, you know, latching on to others that have the same, you know, goal and aspiration to finish with you, and to pace with them, and to, you know, converse with them, and to, you know, give each other motivation. It was truly one of a kind type of a thing. Thank you, Mandy, for tricking me into starting my Spartan experience with a Beast run. And thank you to my trainer for getting me to where I am today, for, you know, otherwise it would have been nearly impossible had I started without any training. And here's to more in the future. So yeah, it was wonderful meeting everybody, and I hope to stay in touch, and it's just been a great experience overall. So yeah, that is the experience of being on a Spartan Beast that you may not find on Google. You know, they're not going to tell you to piss. They're not going to tell you to piss your pants to stay warm on a Google page. I'll tell you that much. If I heard that, I would probably not have gone. But to be honest, I think maybe I still might have, because I'm a little crazy. I think you have to be a little crazy to do these things. And in that kind of weather, I think you have to be a little bit more crazy. So, yeah. I think back to it, and it's all a blur, but it's all so crystal clear still. And, yeah, I'm just glad to be home with my cat, with my heat, with my blankets, and with my medal. So, yeah. Congratulations to everybody else who finished, and congratulations to everybody who tried and attempted it. Everybody is a winner on Sunday's Beast, if you ask me. If you want, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Lost in Textlation. I posted pictures of the Spartan Race up there as well. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you at the races in the future. So have a good one, and aroo!